Already had a pole because he was blind and fast, was going to be the pole winner.
Here is the field. It is set by the NASCAR rulebook because qualifying was rained out here on Saturday. So it's basically owner's points all the way through the back. And there are a couple of changes as we go along. Rusty Wallace having a birthday today, as we talked about in the Bank of America Countdown to Green. He's next to Greg Biffle in row 2.
And in row 3, Kurt Busch and Mark Martin, couple of the Jack Roush cars.
Row 4, Ryan Newman, winner of the Busch race yesterday, Jeremy Mayfield and Ray Evernham's Dodge.
Back in row 5, Dale Jarrett and Carl Edwards, who had never raced here before yesterday.
Jamie McMurray and Elliott Sadler. Elliott Sadler, folks, is a car that needs a good run desperately.
Jeff Gordon knows how to get around this place, and Kevin Harvick's got a very good car for this race today.
Back in row 8, Matt Kenseth, the former series champion, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to make something good happen after last week's disappointment at the Brickyard.
Joe Nemechek and Jeff Burton. Burton ran, both those drivers won the NASCAR Busch Series race yesterday.
Row 10, Michael Waltrip and Kyle Busch. It's going to make interesting on this lineup the way the points. There's a lot of good cars in the back and some bad cars in the front.
Exactly right. Casey Kane's in row 11 next to Brian Vickers, who had a strong run yesterday in the Busch race.
On the inside of row 12, Bobby Labonte. Casey Mears almost pulled a victory off here last year.
Row 13, Scott Pruitt. There's one of those ringers. And Ricky Rudd, also another guy that's a very good road course driver.
Row 14, Mike Bliss is next to Kenny Schrader in the 49 car.
And then it's Kyle Petty and Dave Blaney back in row 15.
Row 16, Jeff Green and Scott Riggs.
In row 17, Travis Kvapil and Scott Wimmer.
And in row 18, Terry Labonte on the inside and P.J. Jones on the outside. Terry Labonte replacing Jason Leffler this week.
Row 19, yep, Ron Fellows and Anthony Lazaro.
This is where the fun begins.
Yeah,
right here,
absolutely.
Right?
This is where it's going to get interesting.
Yep, Robbie Gordon's back there in row 20. He was extremely fast yesterday. Came from 25th to 2nd in the second half of the race.
And Boris said another terrific road racer on the inside of row 1. Paul Menard, good road racer on the outside.
And Jorge Getters starts shotgun on the field.
I'm glad you jumped in on that one.
Now, pay attention here. 3 cars did not qualify. Scott Pruitt makes this list twice. He was in the 39 car because qualifying was rained out. That car goes home, but he sits in for Sterling Marlin, who is home with his family after the passing of his father, Cuckoo, early this morning. Elliott Sadler goes to the back of the field for an engine change in the 38 car. So Elliott Sadler, who's had nothing but terrible luck, has to start in the back today. Final stories from pit road, and we begin with Marty Snyder.
Well, Bill, the rain here in Watkins Glen this weekend has been both good and bad for Greg Biffle. Good because yesterday qualifying got canceled, and the team told me probably would have qualified about 20th, but instead Biffle gets to start 3rd. That's the good part of it. The bad part of it, Friday practice was rained out. That means Biffle did not get as much practice as he would like. In the first practice, he said the car was terrible. They made tons of changes to it. He did get the qualifying lap in. He said the best lap all weekend was that one qualifying lap. The best Greg Biffle has ever finished here at Watkins Glen is 30th. He plans on changing that today. Dave?
Rocket Ryan Newman reigned on this road course yesterday in the NASCAR Busch Series, scoring his first win of any kind here at the Glen. That, together with the fact that this week he signed a new agreement with Penske Racing that lasts through at least 2009, means that Ryan's mind is at ease to enjoy the immediate future. Perhaps a win here today at Watkins Glen. Matt?
Dave, back in row 11, both Casey Kane and Brian Vickers have taken a lot of steps to help speed up their learning curve here on road courses. In fact, both ran in Saturday's Busch race, pulling double duty. Now, Kane finished 13th. Vickers almost won the race, finishing 3rd. But they said that what you learned yesterday, you can't put a price tag on it. The key, though, is to apply what they learned yesterday in the 90 laps of competition today. And that's a lot. They start again back in row 11. To Alan Bestwick.
When qualifying couldn't be completed yesterday because of the rain, it was a bad break for Robbie Gordon, the 2003 winner. Instead of starting 2nd where he was, he's going to start 38th. I talked with Robbie just a few moments ago. He said, in yesterday's NASCAR Busch Series race, it only took me 24 laps to get to the front. I've got 90 laps today. He said, if I can pass about 2 cars per lap, that math works out right. I'm betting he goes for about 4 or 5 in the first corner. Bill?
Thanks, Alan. The first turn will be very interesting to watch today. Tony Stewart will take the field to the green flag in that 20 Home Depot Chevrolet. Last time we talked to Tony, he and Alan were checking out the front stretch at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Tony was tired, said he needed 5 minutes, and then the celebrating was going to begin. Well, after those 5 minutes went by, here's what happened at the Brickyard. The field of 43 Nextel Cup cars slowly creeping toward the start line to get the green flag with 5 races remaining in the race to the chase. There have been a few changes around this track, including the paving down and outside of turn 1. They've cut down some of the curbs here. The cars are a little bit faster. This should be very exciting. One rule change from this race a year ago. There is a lucky dog in effect on the road course here at Watkins Glen, so we'll keep you abreast of that. Tony Stewart takes the field to the green flag off the win at Indianapolis, looking for back-to-back wins at the Glen, and coming in off the win at Sonoma, the other road course on the Nextel Cup circuit. Thanks for having us in for the race. Enjoy the ride on NBC from Watkins Glen.
I don't think that camera's going to make it today.
I hope it's there for a while, because that's a great shot.
And you know, everybody in this field was hoping somebody would beat Tony Stewart through that first turn, but they couldn't do it. His car has been outstanding here in abbreviated track time this weekend. Stewart will lead lap 1 at the Glen.
And we can see the lead that he has on the first lap. And just that's how strong his car has been. 1 second lead over Jimmy Johnson after lap 1.
Well, I think the guys that can give Stewart a run for the money are back in the pack yet. And the way these things are going to have to shake out, you're going to have to get some of these guys up towards the front that have really, really good cars here. I don't think Johnson was real happy with his car in the 48. We're just going to have to see how this thing plays out. But
Jeff Gordon, the 24 car, you saw him just a moment ago past the 17 of Matt Kenseth. He's the guy that may be able to run with Tony Stewart. You get in the back, Robbie Gordon, Ron Fellows, a couple of guys that might. But it's going to take them at least half the race to get to Tony Stewart.
Might not take Robbie Gordon that long. Got about 10 cars on that first lap. He's already 30th. And he was fabulous to watch in the Busch race here yesterday, clawing his way through the field. Through the carousel.
There he goes by another one, passing Dave Blaney. That looks like 27th position.
And you'll see Robbie right here in this spot passing a lot of cars. There's a lot of guys that try to outbrake right here or get on the outside, make these passes. The track is in really, really good condition for a race, and there's a lot more passing zones I saw yesterday than I've seen here in the past.
He's going to come to the start-finish line. We'll get an update on the scoring and see where he's at.
And he will get this car. And this is where Robbie excels so much. I mean, he just got great brakes on his car. He was one of the cars I saw yesterday, just had great brakes.
26th and moving forward, Dave.
And Bill, we saw a lot of this yesterday, that final run, didn't we, as Robbie was coming through the field. He knows the places to pass here, and I talked with his crew chief, Greg Irwin, this morning. That finish of second yesterday was great for our company. The team needed it, but it was really good for Robbie mentally as well. And as he goes by Ken Schrader, you can see he's on it again.
Yeah, Robbie will pass a lot of these cars in front of him right now fairly easy. It's when he gets to the top 10, then things will start getting a little bit tougher, but he'll pick off a lot of these cars, another 10, 15 cars he'll be picking off quickly.
He just got to be careful and not use too much of his car getting by these. Got to keep those front fenders on there.
Ryan Newman in the 12. His teammate Rusty Wallace in the 2.
And Newman's has been able to get by Rusty Wallace. And you know the 12 car coming on behind because he was the NASCAR Busch Series winner yesterday.
But if we hadn't had caution flag laps late in that race, he would have finished about 29th.
Because he ran out of fuel on the cool down lap. You talked to the crew chiefs this morning, and I'm telling you, every one of them said, we've got to pit by lap 50. Well, how many laps can you run on fuel? 38. Come on, guys, the math just, it doesn't work.
But you just, what they're doing is they're having a gamble. They're gamble that there is enough yellows between then and the end of the race where they can stretch that fuel mileage. Because if you come in and top it off and other guys don't, you've lost all that track position. You may lose a lot more if you're running out of gas, but that's a gamble that you got to be willing to take.
Exactly right. That's Kurt Busch in the 97, the defending series champion. As Matt talked about, making the startling announcement this week that he will go to Penske beginning in 2007. Would like to be in that car in front of him in 2006. Alan, how about Rusty?
Well, of course, as you mentioned earlier, Bill, today is Rusty Wallace's 49th birthday. And I talked to him before the race, said happy birthday. He said, wouldn't a win be a great birthday present? Rusty Wallace is 4th in the championship standings. He's 218 points behind the leader, but he's only 230 points up on 11th. Rusty says we're treating every race between here and Richmond like it's the most important race of the season. We're trying to get every point we can and make sure we're in that championship.
Matt? 2 cars back of Rusty's, the 42 car. Jimmy McMurray, he drove Rusty's car on Saturday. He told me yesterday afternoon they worked so hard on this event, knowing that, yes, they're 11th in the championship standings, just outside 12 markers back. This could be the pivotal race that decides their fate. They won't know until the checkered flag falls at Richmond, but they're not taking any chances. They worked the hardest on getting this car to handle best through the S's. Marty?
Mark Martin says his car is just a little bit loose right now. We talk about fuel mileage and fuel strategy being such a big key here at Watkins Glen. The 6 car is not getting good fuel mileage. The farthest they can go, 32 laps on a tank of fuel. Now you'll see some teams pit as early as lap 16 to lap 20. Mark's team will have to stay out till about lap 24 before they see their first pit stop of the day.
And that is frustrating for a driver.
That's ugly.
Stewart continues to lead. Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon on the move into the top 10. And Robbie Gordon from 37th to 24th.
Yeah, the positions are already getting harder to gain for Robbie Gordon. Because in the last couple of laps, as Mark almost gets alongside Jamie McMurray.
Watching for Robbie Gordon.
Carl Edwards going by in the 99 car.
His birthday is tomorrow. Carl's is, so happy birthday to Carl. Be 26 tomorrow.
There comes Robbie Gordon. Trying to close in on the 9 car, Casey Kane.
This is the inner loop, the chicane in the long backstretch here. Curbs have been shaved there. Sorry, Walt.
Yeah,
look at that. What a move.
You make up a lot of time there. Yeah, I mean, the road course guys, the ringers make up most of their time in the inner loop. And you remember that curve there last year, BP? You couldn't do that last year with that curve.
That was just beautiful by Robbie Gordon.
Brett Bodine drives the pace car for the Nextel Cup Series. He took me around the track here this morning, and we flew through that inner loop, and it's a whole different world out there now. Dave.
Again, part of my conversation with Robbie's crew chief this morning is that we will expect Robbie to pass a lot of cars on the racetrack. The one thing we won't do for track position is really gamble with our fuel. Remember, in owners' points, they don't make the top 35 right now. They've got to qualify every weekend for their races, but they want to try to get there, and so they can't cost themselves a good finishing position this weekend. So Greg Irwin said we won't gamble, we'll be conservative on fuel. We'll let Robbie do all the passing on the track.
I'm not buying that.
I'm not either. Because if I know Robbie Gordon, he's going to gamble if he's got a shot to win. That's maybe what the crew's saying, but I bet you Robbie has last call on that one.
Dave, we believe you. We're just not sure we believe them.
Guys, I talked with Greg about that at length, and he said, I've told Robbie. He said, we're going to talk. Oh, as he gets way loose in the inner loop, using the grass now. And they may have a conversation about that as well.
Is that part of the...
That was also not part of their plan.
Okay, that's not part of the conservative part, right?
No, but seriously, he said, talked about that, and he's trying to woe Robbie down a little bit on some of those daring strategy moves they've done in the past.
Good luck. Robbie Gordon's a fun guy to watch drive, especially on a road course.
He is just terrific.
Borisset has worked his way up to 32nd. Ron Fellows is 31st. And that's the leader. His name is Tony Stewart, and he is G-O-N-E, gone. He's by far the fastest car on the track. Jimmy Johnson is chasing. 7 laps down. The strategy's going to start to play out at the Glen.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Watkins Glen is brought to you by Nextel. Enter the Nextel Race to the Chase sweepstakes for a chance to win $250,000. By the Ford Family Plan. From the Ford family to the American family, welcome. By Bank of America, higher standards. And by Allstate, official partner of NASCAR.
9 laps complete in the Sirius satellite radio at the Glen, and Tony Stewart leads by almost 4 seconds over Jimmy Johnson. Jeff Gordon's on the move from 12th to 7th. Joe Nemechek from 17th to 12th. Now there's trouble.
PJ.
Yep.
PJ Jones not in a good spot.
Full course caution for PJ Jones in the inner loop. That's a little bit of an uncomfortable feeling.
I would think so.
Okay.
All right, I see people coming in the future.
Will they come in under the yellow?
Probably will. Get tires, fuel.
Just 10 laps in.
I mean, these pit stops now are not really important as that last pit stop. You see what happened to P.J. Jones.
On board with Boris Saad. I think I know what's going to happen.
And Boris goes around.
So both those guys have damage now on their cars. PJ's got the left front damage, and it looks like Boris probably does as well.
And that's because that curbing has been shaved down there, and I believe the drivers think you can get in there too wide.
Well, you can get in there too wide.
But you can't come out too wide.
You just have to have cooperation from both parties.
Okay. And how often does that happen?
I went through there a couple times yesterday too wide. You just got to be really careful, or, you know, side by side, you got to be careful. But there were a lot of times where you get in on a guy and the guy couldn't see you and he would go straight. Okay. He decided, I don't know where he's at, and I had a couple people that went straight.
One thing to think about, this is a 90-lap race. Obviously, rain is a consideration. We started a little early today with this race, so that could factor into some guys possibly stopping here, trying to meet that fuel window, which would get them to the halfway point and a little bit further should rain become a factor. So there are a number of strategies here.
And every team almost is on a different strategy. You see the pace car going straight there at the inner loop while they sweep up the racetrack. Very good idea, Brett, to take the cars down where it's clean.
Let's see, Robbie Gordon 37th to 19th, and some extracurricular activity going through that inner loop. Here's a good look at Robbie. On board a few moments ago.
This was the pass right here. He set him up pretty nicely. And got some cooperation from fellow driver, Casey Kane.
That's right.
This one didn't work quite as well, but he came out of it.
He goes in the corner, and when he turns it left, a little bit too strong, and it almost spun out, but he wisely goes through the grass, doesn't lose position.
Dodged a bullet. He's lucky he didn't bend up that valence.
That's right, or puncture a tire with a stone.
And he and Robbie and Brian Vickers had an interesting battle for about a lap and a half or 2 laps there as well after that. So Gordon 37th to 19th. Tony Stewart has led every lap.
And Jimmy Johnson's hung in there. I didn't think their car was that good, but making a liar out of me.
Okay.
What's going to happen?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't either. As I said, it seems like every team has a different strategy.
I got to think a lot of these guys are going to come in.
I think so too.
Pit road is open. We'll find out. Tony has every look of staying on the racetrack. He does.
He does. Let's see where they start. Here we go.
Kevin Harvick.
Yep. And he sat up here yesterday and analyzed that Busch race in your seat, so that might contribute to their strategy today. Michael Waltrip is on pit road. Casey Kane, Casey Mears, Dave Blaney, Matt.
Kevin Harvick, the lead one of the lead cars coming into pit road. Now you can see all the brake dust on the right front wheel and the left front wheels are pulling those off. Now Harvick was concerned about the nose. He felt like he got into a car. That's when Jeff Gordon got by. God, it's full of fuel. He stalls it. Crew guy give him a little push, and he's away. The 0 car, Mike Bliss, on his way in. Bill?
So some of the guys that were running outside the top 10 coming down pit road, tires and fuel. Strategy will be big here at the Glen. We'll sort out the running order when we come back. About to complete lap number 12 here at Watkins Glen. Coming to get the green. Tony Stewart brings the field to the flag. Look out in turn 1.
Now the reason that these cars did not pit, we only completed 12 laps. Wow. Look at them, they are 5 wide. At least. Now they got to funnel down to at least 2.
Kurt Busch on the outside of Rusty Wallace.
See who gives. Normally the guy on the outside's got to give.
And Kurt wisely does give. So they went through all that exercise and nothing changed. But the reason these cars, these front runners, did not pit because you've got to get to lap 50. They don't have enough fuel to get to lap 50, so they got to wait to get within that window. Probably 16, 18 laps they'll start pitting.
Getting pretty racy up the backstretch there.
There's a lot of blocking going on already. And well, which you'll see a lot on the restarts too, because the restarts are so slow for the guys from the middle and the back.
You know what, Jeff Gordon looks pretty racing that 24 car.
I agree. It bogs down. It's like being at a stoplight when it turns green. The guys in front go, but not everybody in front of you goes at the same time.
Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett seemed to be slow. He's over the right side like he had slowed down.
It does look like he...
And he was one of those guys doing a lot of blocking on that restart.
Dave, Matt?
Well, under that caution, the 99 of Carl Edwards said his windshield was littered with some kind of oil, possibly gear oil. He suspected it was from the 88 of Dale Jarrett.
Wow, that's close racing right there.
That is Biffle in that 16 car right on the back bumper of the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. That's a battle for second position.
And it's difficult going up through those S's that close to somebody because you lose the air on your nose and that car does not want to turn at all. So real tricky. You got to have a very good car to be able to be that close.
Oh, Biffle, what are you doing? Wow. Wow, you talk about cooperation.
The move in the inner loop, Marty.
Oh, what a great move for the bus stop for Greg Biffle. That's what they call that part of the racetrack. He's actually loose both ways, more loose on the right-hand turns. They were debating on a pit stop. They wanted to make a pit stop because Biffle wanted some chassis adjustments. Jimmy Johnson behind him, however, very happy with the chassis, was surprised a little bit by that because he didn't know what to expect after the changes they had made between practice and qualifying in the lap they never got. But Johnson just a little bit free, but happy with the chassis. Biffle sliding all over the place. BP, you can teach him how to race like that.
No. But he's sliding and going somewhere, and that's a good thing. Hey, look here. Jeff Gordon going by Rusty Wallace. Tell you what, Jeff Gordon moves into the 5th position. Started 14th.
Robbie Gordon has worked his way to 15th from 37 after 14 laps. It's Jamie McMurray in the 42.
Yeah, McMurray's been trying to get by Russ. He's taking a look. Just can't quite outbreak him.
Matt, Casey Mears on pit road.
Bill, it's a Jimmy Ellis strategy. Brought him back down. He stalls the car leaving, finally gets it refired. Brought it back in just to top it off of fuel. Another team playing a little bit different pit strategy here this afternoon.
Now from here he can get to lap 50. And when we get to 50 in that area, we're going to see all these cars hitting pit road. And then the winner on pit road has a great chance of winning the race.
We could see some of these guys really lose some positions.
Biffle. What happened to Biffle in the 16? He's making a pit stop. I guess he's got within his window.
Well, he's going awfully slow.
No, this is not planned.
No, he didn't come in. Marty, what do you got?
He's talking to the team on the radio about it right now, Bill, and he didn't say anything about Doug Richards asking what's going on. Biffle has yet to respond. We'll go check it out.
He had that ignition problem, didn't he, in Indianapolis?
Yes, he did. Had to go to a backup system. Looks like now the car is back up to speed. Wow.
So we'll keep an eye on Biffle. 31 car on pit road. Allen?
This is a planned move, Bill. They're coming in. They're going to fill it up, pack it with fuel, change 4 tires, send Jeff Burton back out, then hope they catch a caution, and all these other leaders that did not pit that last time under the yellow will come back in and come out of the track behind him. It's a gamble for track position by the crew chief, Kevin Hamlin.
Jeff Burton had a strong ride here in the Busch race yesterday. That's Tony Stewart, 3.2 seconds ahead of Jimmy Johnson. Then Gordon, who's gotten around Ryan Newman. And there's Robbie Gordon in that 7 car on the move, chasing Jeremy Mayfield. They come to the scoring stripe.
Yeah, Robbie will, I'm sure, try to make a move here on Jeremy Mayfield going into turn 1, try to outbreak him, but yeah, get down beside him.
Robbie Gordon into the top 10, and now up to 9th. Joe Nemechek has been racing in that 0-1 back there. He's got caught in some traffic, slid himself through turn 1 a few laps ago.
Yeah, Joe gets around this place very good.
And Biffle hanging right with him now. Biffle on the looking at the inside of Joe. Okay, they're going to head for the inner loop. Let's watch this for a second.
And it looks like Biffle's going to get the spot from Nemechek. Hey, Marty, did they ever figure out what happened to the 16?
Well, BP twice. Doug Richards asked him what happened. What happened? No response from Greg Biffle. I just asked Doug again. He said, I guess it was the ignition. I don't know. Biffle won't tell me.
Of course, he is a little busy.
Yeah, and mad.
Yeah.
McMurray taking a look on the inside. Like I said, that's his corner right there. We didn't used to see a lot of passing, but we have seen a lot today and yesterday. Wow.
Oh, McMurray around the 12. Alan?
Ryan Newman, a lap ago on the radio, brake problems. He said the pedal went to the floor. Hasn't said anything more about it, but the crew concerned.
You know what? There's a lot of concerns about that this weekend. I don't know what the deal is. I thought these brakes were supposed to be so great. I had problems yesterday. And if you're having problems with the pedal now, this early in the race, you're in big trouble, because normally after about 5 or 6 laps, you've got to pump the brakes anyway. And if they're this hot right now, it's bad.
Dave.
Team Robert Yates Racing on pit road right now. Both cars just a little bit tight. Both cars making minor adjustment. Both cars now able to make it with one more stop.
Wow. And when will that stop?
Exactly right.
I see raindrops on our
No, you don't. No, you don't.
You're saying thing.
Okay.
Clean your glasses.
Okay, good.
That's some of the same stuff that was on the windshield of Carl Edwards. That's oil coming off of something.
All right. Another car going by Ryan Newman.
And it's all under braking. So you can see that the 12 is, Ryan Newman is having a lot of trouble. Robbie will make short order of the 12 car going down into turn 1.
19 laps are complete. Tony Stewart continues to lead Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon. If trouble breaks out, we will break in. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. "20 laps completed at Watkins Glen. Tony Stewart leads by 3.8 seconds. Here's our Miller race fact. Watkins Glen Cup Series winner has gone on to win the championship 6 times, meaning the winner of the race gone on to win the title 6 times in the years we've been coming here. Last guy to do it drives that car, Tony Stewart.
Well, you know, you said Tony Stewart does have a 3.8-second lead, but there is a guy back in 3rd position. Here he comes into the picture. Jeff Gordon, the last 5 or 6 laps, has been faster than Tony Stewart. That time he was not.
Gets you every time, doesn't it, BP?
Meanwhile, more pit stops taking place.
Yep. Marty?
As advertised, pitting in their pit window for Mark Martin on lap 22. Just when they thought they would pit, Mark to the car just a little bit loose, but very happy. They got very good at the end of that run, turning some quick times, pound out of both rear tires to fix that. Matt?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. almost pulls off too early onto the pit boxes, finally gets to his stall, going to make a chassis adjustment. Jr. had a lot of high hopes coming into this weekend after the way his car performed early back at Sonoma in June. The car, though, horrible most of the weekend, tight. They made the adjustment to try to free him up. Alan?
Kyle Busch pitting from 18th place. A reminder from crew chief Alan Gustafson, the first gear is tall. You'll have to get with it when it's time to leave. does that, trying to fix a car without enough rear grip in it.
First gear is tall, meaning
It's a long gear. You're in it for a long time.
Doesn't have a lot of gear ratio working for you. In other words, a normal would be a 250. Maybe it's a 190 first gear. So you don't have enough gear going. And Tony Stewart, the leader on pit road.
so Tony Stewart led the first 22 laps. Jimmy Johnson inherits the lead while Tony makes it down pit road to his stall. Alan?
Well, Tony, his first radio transmissions were that he was just taking care of it, that everything was great. Just before the pit stop, wanted to have them make an air pressure adjustment in the rear tires to help the car get a little bit better grip off the corners. So Stewart in from the lead after leading the entire first 22 laps. Last year he pitted at 24 and 57 in his winning run. Behind him, Rusty Wallace is on pit road, also getting 4 tires. Brian Vickers is also in. All of these very much planned pit stops.
It's all based on how far you can go on fuel. You want to get your fuel as early as you can and go as far as you can.
And it takes so long to go around the racetrack that you're not in jeopardy of going a lap down. You're on the lead lap with the leader as Jimmy Johnson makes his way to pit road.
Johnson coming in off the hard lick he took last week at Indianapolis, trying to recapture the lead in the championship standings, Marty.
And Bill didn't hurt that he led 1 lap there, collecting 5 bonus points for leading lap here, Watkins Glen. He wanted the windshield tear off, so the car was getting loose for him. They make an air pressure adjustment, trying to tighten up that Lowe's car, but Jimmy very happy with the car so far, running as low or no lower than second during this run, Bill.
He's on his way.
And you see these stops, they're making sure they get the gas tank full. Every ounce of fuel that it can get in these cars, they're putting in. Jeff Gordon led the last lap.
How about that? The road course king leading at Watkins Glen, trying to resurrect some championship shot here in 2005.
Car looks awfully good.
Is that where he getters are having trouble? No, it's Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte off the face of the 11 car.
And he think he was on pit road just a few laps ago.
1,000 first.
Jeff be coming in this lap, perhaps?
Yeah, Terry had been on pit road just a couple of laps ago.
All right, Jeff has led a race. He's got his 5 bonus points for leading. And he goes to pit road.
The yellow line not a factor here on pit road. Your pit box is designated by the white lines. Dave?
Spoke to Jeff Gordon just before the race today, and he said he did have a car that could compete with the 20. Felt very good about the way this 24 car is running. A former race winner at the Infineon Raceway last year. They will make a slight air pressure adjustment for Jeff. He said his car was just a little bit loose. They will take on 4 tires and, of course, pack this thing full of fuel. Matt?
Ricky Rudd, whose last Cup victory came on a road course at Sonoma, making his way down to Fatback McSwain and the Wood brothers. Ricky said the car was running warm earlier. He was dipping out, trying to get some fresh air. You can see all that dust blowing off the brake dust. We've got a spin on the racetrack.
Dale Jarrett is in the wall.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that's on the outside of the carousel down there.
Has some damage to the right rear, and there's the leader, Robbie Gordon.
You're all clear, but you're going right here.
Robbie Gordon just went by as the
looks like we
leader.
got damage to the right rear quarter, so let's get it beat out and get some tires on it, okay?
Full course yellow. Sorry, BP. Go ahead.
That might put the 88 car a lap down.
I think they got more problems than just
Yeah, that's
being
right.
a lap down.
Well, no. Yeah, they got to put the fuel in back there, don't you, in the right rear.
Somehow.
Well, they're supposed to put
Yes,
fuel there.
exactly right. So let's see if we can figure out what happened to Dale Jarrett here.
He's got a mark on his bumper. Yep. Got another mark on his bumper.
Like Junior gets in the back of 88 down in the carousel. Junior had fresh tire. Well, 88. Junior had stopped later than the 88 car, so his tire's a little fresher.
You see that on the left side of the bumper? Then I saw that spot and went, yeah, that's probably getting help.
So the caution is out. Robbie Gordon is scored as the race leader. So from 37th to 1st. But Gordon has not been to pit road.
Well, he'll go now, get his 4 tires.
And not lose much track position doing it. I mean, he'll lose track position, but not you know, on the racetrack while these guys are under green. Won't be so bad for him.
We'll be able to pull up to the rear of the field.
Yeah.
We'll see who comes down pit road. The 92 of Johnny Miller is the lucky dog. Robbie Gordon leads at the Glen.
Pit stops here at lap 26 at Watkins Glen. The top cars coming in, Robbie Gordon and Greg Biffle, who is running second. Biffle says his car is loose, both left and right. He's put a half round of wedge on the right side, up or down on the track bar. 1 round for Biffle and 4 tires. This is actually a bad break for the 16 team. Dave?
Robbie Gordon saying, we'll take our licks now. They changed 4 tires on the car. Air pressure just for Robbie almost hits Greg Biffle leaving pit road. Alan?
Well, Ryan Newman, we told you about the reported brake problem. He locked the brakes up coming into the stall so that the crew could perhaps use some of that information looking at the tires to help diagnose the problem. He thinks it's in the rear. They're going to put some fluid in the master cylinder under the front. They haven't spotted anything on the rear tires, so crew chief Matt Borland directing the crew now to go up under the hood and help diagnose what the brake problem is on Ryan Newman's car.
Well, Robbie Gordon got quite a break. He made a pit stop. Probably 15, 20 cars stayed on the racetrack.
Where the pace car's at.
But 15 or 20 did in fact pit, so at least he will start 21st instead of 40th like he did initially on the start. Yeah,
big break.
And his voice when he said, "Let's take our licks now," just makes you feel like you're giving back the crown jewels or something, because he had the race lead. Now will fall back in the field. We're under caution here at Watkins Glen. Tony Stewart is led, Jeff Gordon is led, Robbie Gordon is led, and Jimmy Johnson. Back to Watkins Glen in a moment. The green flag is up, and Michael Waltrip is the race leader at Watkins Glen. So watch that orange car.
Jeff Gordon down underneath Jimmy Johnson. Tell you what, Gordon's got some brakes on that car. Where he's been making a lot of his moves.
Michael Waltrip pitted back on lap 12.
Tony Stewart gets by Carl Edwards to move into second spot. But here comes Jeff Gordon.
Robbie Gordon was the race leader. Restarted 29th. Greg Biffle was hit with a pit road penalty.
Stewart underneath Waltrip. Ooh. Yep. Waltrip finally saw him. There's one of those like places you just don't know where the driver is. You have to almost just leave the door open.
Non-compliant fueling was the penalty for the 16 car. They restarted at the end of the line. And it's a long line here.
That's 40 cars long.
Turn 7 and down the pit stretch. On board with Michael Waltrip. Carl Edwards in the 99, Jeff Gordon in the 24.
I think Carl Edwards said, you know, I need to learn something. Why don't I follow the master at Watkins Glen, Jeff Gordon? See if he can teach me something. And I think, Carl, that's a very bright idea.
He came here and basically crashed both cars during the test. Carl Edwards did. His Busch car and his Nextel Cup car. Raced here for the first time yesterday, Edwards did.
Jimmy Johnson, 48 car, gets by Carl Edwards. And Carl, when you look in the mirror, all these guys are good. Kevin Harvick right behind him in the 29 car. Very good road racer.
Jeff Gordon looking at Michael Waltrip. Greg Biffle has been on and off of pit road for fuel after having to go to the rear of the field.
Gordon's going to take a look on the inside of Michael, I'm sure, going down into turn 1.
More than a look, he's going to take a position.
So does Harvick. Takes a spot from Carl Edwards.
You know, you were racing yesterday and Harvick was in your seat, but Benny, didn't you get the feeling that Kevin couldn't wait to get out there today?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he enjoyed watching you yesterday in his car out there.
Yeah, maybe he'll give me some more races.
Yeah, he had a big time up here yesterday. And Boris said in the 36 car, has gotten by Carl Edwards, moved into the 6th position.
And he was off on, he was one of those earlier guys that pitted, correct?
He spun and had to come down pit road to get his window flap, his roof flap put down and all that other stuff.
Matt?
Bill, an update on the 29 of Kevin Harvick. Now, he feels like that they over-adjusted. They went down too far on air pressure, making the car really unbalanced, loose everywhere. He needs to be tightened a little more. That's what they're talking about doing on their next stop. But Harvick having a very solid run. And he, too, said this is probably the most important race lap as he goes up on the rumble strips there. If he can come out of here with a good finish and continue to try to close that gap, he wants to get back into this chase.
Jimmy Johnson, taking a look at Michael, and Michael may be having some brake problems
or
there.
Saving them.
I don't know if, God, it's hard to save brakes. Marty, is Michael saying anything about his brakes? Because he's losing a lot of positions under braking.
He has not said anything about the brakes, Wally. They are on a plan. Their plan was to pit early, which they did at lap 16. They're going to come back in at lap 50 and be done for the day. Now, Tony Earnhardt Jr. has done this the last 2 years with Dale Earnhardt Jr., both times with this exact race car, and it's worked both times for a top 5 finish. That's what they're hoping for today.
It's just, Michael was really strong yesterday under braking in the Busch race, and I'm just surprised to see him getting past right now under braking. There's a shot of Michael. This is one of those places, boy, you're busy all the time. See him, he is pumping his brakes. If you see his left leg right before he goes down into a corner. See, little pump there. Oh, 31 around and hit the guardrail.
Yes, sir.
I wrecked it. My fault. Sorry.
Jeff Burton and the full course caution.
It'll be all right. What we got to have.
Oh, boy. New front clip.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to fix that car, be able to fix this car and get him back on the race.
Like I said, they're gonna
My fault.
Alan?
Well, I just got finished talking with his crew chief, Kevin Hamlin, Bill. They had stopped at lap 15. He said, we are good to the finish on one more stop. He had just gotten off the radio to Jeff saying, you're really good. Your lap times are solid. Take care of your stuff. As you guys were saying, the 31's in the wall, and Jeff came back with the radio transmission you heard.
I don't know what happened, but sometimes when you get up on those rumble strips down there in turn 1, you got to jump on the gas at the same time, and it just turns the car sideways.
What a priceless shot that was.
Just holding his head.
What have I done?
Well, that's heartbreaking. Had a good run going yesterday. High hopes for today. Kevin Harvick talked about it yesterday. This team has had no luck this season. Let's see if we can see what happened. Jeff's okay. He's going to climb out.
Well, here you see him coming. Oh, he's already loose down into the corner. Then he gets up on the rumble strips, and he's actually trying to gas it, trying to save it.
Oh boy.
That's a hard hit.
That was hard, yeah.
I wrecked it. My fault. Sorry.
I believe it was Reed Sorensen, but it was one of the guys in the Busch test came up here and did the same thing. They got over that new curbing over there, tried to correct the car, and the car just took off and shot right across and went nose first into the guardrail over there. Under caution here at Watkins Glen, Tony Stewart is having another outstanding day. Going for back-to-back wins off the win at the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard. He leads at the Glen.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Watkins Glen is brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work. By Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR. Grab a cold one, the race is on. By McDonald's. By Duracell, trusted everywhere. And by Home 123, the official mortgage company of NASCAR. Log on to home123.com and enter the Home 123 Pay Off Your Mortgage sweepstakes today.
Under caution here at the Sirius Satellite Radio at the Glen after a hard crash by Jeff Burton, exiting turn 1. Burton's days virtually over, but Dale Jarrett gets the Ballpark Lucky Dog Award. He was the first car scored off the lead lap. There's DJ coming down on pit road.
Now, these cars will change 4 tires, filled up with fuel, and the next time they come back in, they probably will only change 2 tires to try to make that pit stop a little bit faster, and they won't have to put as much fuel in the next time.
Alan?
Well, here's Ryan Newman back in, the 7th place driver in the championship. It is a brake line that came loose on the right rear caliper. They're going to go back in, make sure that it's tight, that it hasn't worked itself loose again. They're also going to try and bleed some air out of the brake system so Ryan has a better brake pedal and top him off with fuel, and then see if they can work the strategy to get themselves back up front.
I'm impressed they were able to diagnose and repair that problem.
Nothing.
Really
I'm never surprised by anything that crew does. Matt Borland leads a great bunch of guys down there.
But you'll see the fluid in your pit box once he comes in and leaves. You're going to see there's fluid in the pit box. It's got to be coming from somewhere. So that's probably how they found it so quick.
They'll work on the 12. We're still under caution. We'll break away, get you some commercial messages, come back and go racing here at the Glen with everybody chasing Tony. The field coming around to get the green flag and completing lap 34 of 90 scheduled here at Watkins Glen. Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Michael Waltrip, and Kevin Harvick, the top 5. And remember last time when we did this restart, they fanned out about 5 wide on that front stretch and then tried to funnel down by the time they got to turn 1.
No, they won't do that this time.
They won't? Okay. They'll be single file all the way, right?
Exactly.
Except for maybe Gordon and Jimmy Johnson and Michael and Kevin.
38 of their friends. Here we go. Hang on tight.
Jeff Gordon's going to look. He's going to try. This is his best opportunity.
Can he outbrake Tony Stewart?
Wow, he's got a good shot at it. Oh. You know what, Tony? Jeff just gave you a present right there.
That's about half a lane wider down there now than it used to be on the inside.
But in order to go through there fast, you need all of it.
Or somebody to lean on.
Yeah, and Jeff didn't have all of it.
Speaking of leaning, that 97 car.
No kidding. Was he rolling over or what?
He really was.
Somebody have a question for us?
Hey Wally. I happen to be standing all the way down in this first pit at the end of turn 1. In your experience in yesterday's race, did that extra pavement on the outside instead of the gravel trap make you a little bit bolder about braking late in there? Because I'm seeing some people be awfully brave here.
Absolutely, and there's a lot more aggressive driving going on down there, because when you get side by side, people were leaning on each other a lot more. They weren't being so polite. So yes, it's a lot more bravery down there.
And you weren't afraid, because if the guy on the inside of you maybe crowded you a little bit, you had some place to go instead of just off into the dirt.
Exactly. Exactly.
We saw the 97 car leaning over.
Yep.
Here he's on pit road. He has a problem.
I would say that car was dragging the skirts.
Hey guys, 4 tires, 4 tires.
Defending series champion Kurt Busch on pit road.
I just think he has a flat.
I don't know if he's got a flat. He wouldn't be able to go through the S's that fast if he has a flat.
Right in here, 4
Alan?
tires.
I think he may have something.
Well, they're going to change 4 tires on this car, guys. Kurt suspected he had a flat, so that's why they've come in. Short notice on this one. We'll go double check and follow up. What was that, the eye of the storm there?
I think we have a broken sway bar.
We have a broken sway bar. The link is hanging down right there.
Yep. That's why that car is leaning over.
If you spotted that, you spotted it quicker than the crew did.
Well, we spotted it.
Hopefully, that's why the car leans so badly up in the S's, because he had no anti-roll bar.
See that just right there? See how that car flopped back and forth? That's bad.
Hey, Alan. That's what Benny was saying, is that they have a cloudy future for the rest of the race.
Is that what it is? It's a stormy day for them. Yeah, Kurt. Oh, you're hearing now.
Sounds like Kurt's still.
It's going to be an accident, man.
We know what's wrong with it.
Tell us the sway bar, Alan.
He said he thought it was an axle problem.
Yeah, 10-4, it's rolling over a ton.
Sounded like Todd said, thought it was an, or Jimmy said he thought it was an
Gotta
axle.
come in, I can't drive it.
And you know what? Watch right through the inner loop here. There's a hole right here. Not that one, but right in there. If you get on the inside of that, there's a hole, and it just on both sides of the inner loop. If you drop a wheel, it just feels like you're hitting a giant pothole at 80 miles per hour.
Tony Stewart continues to lead. Problems for the 97. We go to Marty.
And problems for Jeff Burton, too. You're back here in the garage. What happened on that wreck?
Stupid driver, pretty much. That's all I can tell you is, the guys on this team did an awesome job. We had a Singular Chevrolet was wicked fast, and just sorry for all the guys at Singular and everybody on this team. They gave me a car today that we could get our business done with. We were very fast, and I messed up. We were very loose. That's how I wanted it, and I overstepped the boundaries. As long as I've been doing it, I shouldn't do things like that.
Nearly won the Busch Series race yesterday, but out of it early here in the afternoon, in the Cup race today.
Thanks, Marty. Kurt Busch back on pit road. Alan.
Well, they are got the right side of the car jacked up. They're looking to see if the sway bar is even still there at this point, and they're reporting the sway bar arm mount on the A-frames have been sheared off. So they're going to send Kurt to the garage and set up the welder to try and fix it.
This is a hard hit, 6th in the championship standings.
This racetrack is such a mechanical exercise. We see all this back and forth and such soft springs in the front. The car goes down, and while I talk about hitting those holes, you get one of those tires in the hole, you're going to knock something off almost every time. And all the shifting the teams have to do. You have transmission, engine problems, brake problems, and even chassis problems.
Yeah, you basically beat up a race car here.
Yes.
I mean, you really do. And you drive these cars 110% every lap. You can't take a break on this racetrack because you got so many good cars and so many good drivers. You are driving the heck out of a race car, and you're abusing it every lap. Mark Martin, take a look at Forrest. Oh. And that's what happens. So the guy on the inside, once he gets way up there, he's got to give the corner to the guy he's trying to pass, or there'll be contact.
And both cars will spin out.
Well, you see Jeff Gordon currently 12th in the championship standings as they run now. You would expect Gordon to get well at this track. Only in the last 3 races here, finished 21st, 33rd, and 22nd. Hoping for better things today. That's classy of Jeff Burton to talk to you after going through that, isn't it? It's a tough situation for a driver.
So Bobby Labonte in the 18 car go by. He must have some serious problems in that car because Tony Stewart is about to lap him.
Stewart leads. Here comes Gordon. Dave has more.
Let me follow up Benny's 18 request. The 25 and the 1 and the 18 got together on the restart. Bobby had to come in for repairs on the 18 car. He's back on track. 24 of Jeff Gordon. They talked under caution. You have led a lap. We've gotten that accomplished. These guys are definitely thinking big picture, and that may be one reason why he didn't challenge Tony any harder going into turn 1 on that restart. The other reason, Tony's pretty good.
Understatement, Dave. You're exactly right. Hey, Benny.
What? You know, I hate to bring that duck across the screen, though. He might get run over on the road course, but we'll take a chance. Hey, guys, down the truck, cue the duck. We need to talk about Affleck. Affleck! Jeff Gordon, go ahead if you want, careful.
We made it safe. Here's our Affleck trivia question. Who is the only driver to win Watkins Glen after winning at Indianapolis?
Would he be on the screen? Is that a hint?
Why would we be showing that car?
Is that a hint?
Jeff Gordon, twice. But that could change today. If Tony Stewart hangs on to the lead, but Gordon with a solid ride. '97 car has gone to the garage. That's Kurt Busch. Tony Stewart continues to lead. Marty, let's check in with you.
Bill Trouble for last year's champion. We've been documenting it. Kurt, that's a bizarre situation. What happened?
Yeah, just from what the crew had said, we sheared off the right front sway bar mount that when it touches up underneath the control arm, so it's like not having a sway bar. At first I thought it was a flat left rear. That's because I was making a right-hand turn. Then I made a left, and I'm like, oh boy, we got problems. So one of those weird freak deals. You know how these things work in racing, so I hope it doesn't bite us too hard. We've got some strong races coming up like Michigan, California, Bristol, so we should be all right.
And a top 5 at Infineon back in June, but today it was back in the garage for a while for Kurt Busch.
And he has been the focus of attention since we got here on Friday. After the announcement this week, he will leave Roush Racing at the end of next season to move to Penske to drive the 2-car.
That's big.
That's...
Yeah. Yep. That's why I think these 6-year contracts or these 5-year contracts are so long contracts. I mean, it just takes a special situation to be able to be with the team that long.
Here's our singular race talk $1,031 challenge. Who will Jamie McMurray and Kurt Busch drive for next February in Daytona? Their current teams or their new teams? McMurray going to Roush in 2007 and Busch going to Penske in 2007. Both drivers want to make the move, appear eager to make the move for next season. To vote, text the word race to 191 on your Singular wireless phone or go to NASCAR.com. You'll also be entered for a chance to win $1,031. Tony Stewart out front here at Watkins Glen, approaching the halfway mark after an early start for rain. Now there's trouble on the track.
P.J. Jones. Wow, look at. He got every piece of that car except for the left rear corner.
And that is a piece of brake rotor.
Brake broke.
You said brakes? Something happened with the brakes?
The rotor may have exploded.
Full course caution, excuse me.
No, it's the brakes. I lost the brakes. They broke. I turned it into the outside wall.
See, that's what happened to Matt Kenseth.
There it is. Broken rotor.
Yeah, that's what happened to Kenseth at, I think, at Indy. Was a brake rotor exploded.
And he turned it into the wall to slow the car down, because now that there's pavement down there at the end of that turn 1, it's not like going through the gravel at 140 miles per hour to slow the car down. There's nothing to slow the car down. So he turned it into the wall to scrub off some speed, which was a smart thing to do.
Never see brake rotor pieces. You're right. The rotor is broken. Pieces are flying around before he ever gets to the wall.
Yeah, as soon as he hit the brakes, he was at the braking point. So as soon as he hit the brakes, that thing exploded. I'm not sure he turned in the wall or got turned in the wall because of the brakes. Because normally when you explode one rotor, the other rotor grabs and will turn the car. But regardless, he scrubbed off speed. Brakes aren't hot here.
No, not at all. Under caution here at Watkins Glen, Tony Stewart continues to lead. PJ's okay, getting out of the car. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Under caution here at Watkins Glen and the Sirius satellite radio at the Glen. Pit road is open. This will complete lap 43. See if anybody up front decides to come on down pit road, BP.
I'm surprised some of these guys don't come in, change 4 tires now, and be done with changing their tires. And just the next time they stop, just 1 can of fuel. Who's that?
Carl Edwards.
Carl Edwards, yep.
Oh, man, he's losing so much track position. All these cars going fine.
He was 13th. So, Carl, on to pit road in the Sirius satellite radio at the Glen. Tony Stewart has the field on the pit stretch. You're watching NASCAR coverage live from Watkins Glen, New York.
So when can a crew chief be the Nextel fan of the week? When he's the crew chief of a Black Hawk helicopter. This is Sergeant Nathan Keach from Albany, New York. And Sergeant, I understand the crew chief comparison in NASCAR is really why you're the fan of the week, right?
Yes, it is. My job as a crew chief is just like Robbie Loomis, the great. Is if there's a problem with the pilots, which are my drivers, there's something wrong, they come back and report to me and say, hey, this is the problem, fix it. And I get in contact with the things I need to get in contact with and make it happen.
He makes it happen on a weekly basis. And even if you're not the crew chief of a Black Hawk helicopter, you can be Nextel fan of the week. Just log on to NASCAR.com/Nextel for more.
Robbie Loomis, the great.
Yep, there'll be a T-shirt for that next week.
Wow. I don't think so.
So, under caution here at Watkins Glen, the field coming to get the green. You want to be a cameraman covering a Nextel Cup race? Watch this.
Well, actually, this camera is buried in the ground.
Oh, you ruined it.
Well, but check it out.
I thought you just had to be a very short cameraman for this one.
Or very brave.
Whoever picked the spot for that camera, they picked a perfect spot for it, didn't they?
Well, you guys predicted on the first lap it probably wouldn't last very long.
He was right. BP predicted that one.
Want to update a couple of guys here. Robbie Gordon restarted 29th after the second caution, then restarted 25th on lap 35. He's up to 14th. Boris said is 6th after pitting on lap 19. He started 39th. It's Gordon, Stewart, Johnson, Waltrip said, Martin Mears, Pruitt, Harvick, and McMurray, and they'll fan out heading for 1.
I see Scott Pruitt. That Coors Light car this Sunday is Scott Pruitt. Sterling Marlin is not here, and there goes Scott by his teammate Casey Mears. Oh, there's Robbie Gordon back there trying to get by Rusty Wallace. Robbie Gordon in the 7 car.
It'll be for about the 11th position.
No, I think he's going to get him going in the interloop unless there's a major block here. Because Robbie gets into the interloop really good.
And sometimes he just uses the grass.
Yeah, he gets through it good too.
I'll tell you what. We're talking about brakes. It doesn't seem like that the 7 car's brakes. He has any problem with brakes.
We had a discussion this morning about brakes. And I asked him what he was using.
And he told you.
And I'm going to tell Kevin after the race.
Now, all of a sudden, Jeff Gordon is falling back in the clutches of Jimmy Johnson. Just a few laps ago, he looked like he was going to drive away, but now it looks like Jeff Gordon is holding up this entire line of cars.
Not for long. If you're holding somebody up, they're going to get you going to 1. Jimmy's going to try it here. Jimmy Johnson trying Jeff Gordon for 2nd. Those are teammates. Michael Waltrip looking for the position.
Oh, and Michael's going to get the spot. Gordon bobbled there just a little bit, just enough for Michael to be able to get underneath.
Flat left front.
Flat left front is what he's saying.
Yep.
Good eye, VP. Dave Burns.
And they just radioed that immediately. Flat left front. Jeff radioed the crew. They have gone into action here. Now they have to wait most of a minute for Jeff to get around.
And hopefully that tire won't shred to pieces.
He's going to hold up a few more guys here.
The tire does look pretty bad.
There he goes.
I'm coming. All right, 4 times. Get this trap going down around the half.
He's getting there as fast as he can, as slow as he can.
He's got to get to the right side of the racetrack here.
He wants to get there fast, but he's got to go slowly, doesn't he?
That's right, he does. Now he's got to get over to the right side, let all these cars go by on the inside.
Start waving. Hope everybody sees you. There's his hand out the window. Now this is, we're working lap 46. 44 laps to go.
And this could be his end of making the chase in the NASCAR Nextel Cup in 2005.
Off the top 10 at the Brickyard last week. Dave crawling toward you.
And Jeff said this week in his press release, we've run out of time and the pressure is on. Well, the pressure's really on now to make up the time lost here. With 44 to go, guys, I don't think they can make it. They'll have to pit at least, well, they'll have to pit one more time for at least a splash and go. As now that left front comes across, it's up pretty good. And so is the right front. Jeff said coming down pit road, if it's not flat, I don't know what's wrong. Pit road, we'll keep our eye on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that tire was low on air. But we'll know in about 30 seconds when those guys check the air pressure.
Okay, Jeff Gordon comes off of pit road.
Definitely going down, but
It was going down.
Definitely going down. Tony Stewart, the leader, will watch these cars as they come out of 7 and go down the front stretch, but Marty Snyder is with P.J. Jones, who's been waiting patiently. Marty?
Yeah, he's been released from the infield care center. What happened on that accident? Did it have anything to do with the contact between you and Boris said earlier?
No, I don't think so. I think we just had a bad brake rotor or something. So I went down in the corner and just went right to the floor. The brakes went right to the floor, and I just turned it left as soon as I could to make sure that you know, we'd slow it down. I knew they didn't have enough tires at the end of the straightaway, so I didn't want to hit down there. But I just hate it for the whole Lucas Oil, Morgan McClure team. They gave me a good ride. We were having a good run, you know, up inside the top 15 and just looking for a strong finish.
Bill?
Thanks, Marty. And our thanks to PJ.
Now that 21 car Ricky Rudd, the 2 car Rusty Wallace, back in the late 80s, early 90s, when you went to a road course, one of these 2 guys won. And the other guy usually finished second.
And to update the 97 of Kurt Busch, he has returned to the track 9 laps down. Can we just discuss the 24 situation for just a moment? Will he, as soon as he's in his window, he's coming in.
And get, well, he can't come in now because he'll be lapped.
Because he's so far behind.
He's so far behind.
Okay.
So he's already made his pit stop.
Okay.
He's now 39th, 55 seconds behind the leader. If he comes on pit road, he's going to be lapped.
Dave Moore on the 24.
Yeah, here's the culprit right here, guys. It's about a 2-inch long cut on the 24. Robbie radioing to his driver that it was definitely going down, and that hole has air coming out of it.
Brake rotor came apart on the 4-car down in turn 1.
There's a lot of debris. When the rotor comes apart like that, there's a lot of debris on the racetrack. You can't see all of it.
There's Gordon. He's on an island right now. And it's not a resort island.
You see, we can see Tony Stewart in the 20 car is not that far behind him.
Right. Great point. Tony Stewart through 6 and towards 7. Could be closing in on pit stops. We've crossed the halfway mark here at Watkins Glen. Tony Stewart continues to lead.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Watkins Glen is brought to you by Nextel. Enter the Nextel Race to the Chase sweepstakes for a chance to win $250,000. By Fram Filters. Remember, before you slam it, Fram it. By America Online. Want a better internet? You belong in America Online. And by Garnier Fructis Style. Unleash your style.
39 laps to go. The race has begun, Marty.
And as advertised, Michael Waltrip stops with 39 laps to go. He said the car just needs a little more front grip, a pound on the both tires for that. That's our last stop of the day. Matt.
Crew chief Jimmy Elledge working the same strategy. Bobby Varell slipped on his hose as he came around the front of the car, but Elledge trying to work the same strategy he did last year. Got him a huge lead. They lost the race late. He is down and away.
But he beats Michael Waltrip off pit road, and hey, that may mean something at the end of this.
So they come off of pit road, 39 to go. Everybody on the edge, basically, of their fuel window at this point.
I don't think these cars can run 40 laps on fuel.
You said that last year.
Unless they get some caution laps.
41 car too fast exiting pit road.
Oh, no wonder he beat Michael Waltrip off pit road.
Robbie taking a look at Mark. Not close enough yet.
Robbie Gordon has been on the move. A pass of the 40 car of Pruitt and the 15 of Michael Waltrip.
Now, if we can ride on board here with Robbie until we get to the inner loop, watch how much ground. We'll see how much ground he can make up on Mark entering the inner loop. That's where he seems like his car is so much better than everybody else's. See here coming down the backstretch. Now, just start to see the numbers on the side right there. See how he closes in on the guy in front of him. I mean, he made up 4 or 5 car lengths right there.
Scott Pruitt in the 40 car driving for Sterling Marlin has been on and off of pit road.
Paul Menard has been on and off pit road. Kyle Petty, the strategy has begun.
You want to get your fuel as early as you can and then get the best fuel mileage you can.
Mark Martin points to Robbie Gordon, says go on the inside. I'm giving you some room.
So Robbie Gordon from 37th inside the top 5.
Twice.
Be a good race if he gets to that 20 car.
I'm telling you. More cars on the pit road. Elliott Sadler, Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth,
and Ricky Rudd.
Oh, he missed the corner.
Sure did.
I don't know if he missed it. He just used a lot more than some other guys.
See, now last year that would have been a caution flag.
Yeah.
Because he would have been in the gravel trip. Dave Burns.
38 car of Elliott Sadler in again. They pitted once on lap 17. This now puts them inside their fuel window. Maybe with cautions, maybe with not. We'll see. 4 tires. Matt.
Both the 21 of Rudd and the 29 of Harvick on pit road. Harvick said the car was a little too free, but also tight on some right-handers. He almost falls off the jack. He's down and away. Close call with a 38. Looks like the 38's going to get him. 21 still on pit road.
Well, the first gears are like, it's like if you have a stick shift at home and you put your car in 3rd gear when the green light goes up, that's what it's like leaving the pits here in 1st gear. Very, very tall. And that's why a lot of these cars are stalling.
Mark Martin headed toward pit road. He and Jamie McMurray both. Rusty Wallace.
McMurray's doing a good job today. He's been up in the top 10 all day.
Marty, you got Mark?
Yeah, Bill, Pat Tryson told me a moment ago, he said, I'd love to pit with those guys, but they're racing for the win. I'm racing for a championship today. Mark said the car really came on at the end of that run. He kind of let Robbie Gordon go. He wanted to tear away in a small air pressure adjustment in the 6 car. Matt?
And McMurray's in. He has stalled the car. It's up on the jack. As they're fueling the race car, it rolls forward. Now we're going to make an air pressure adjustment. The car needed forward bite to Allen as the 99's also in.
Yeah, Rusty Wallace pits from 7th place. Crew Chief Larry Carter saying, make sure you get it full of fuel. They still haven't made any adjustments to this car all day. Rusty's just trying to keep it on the track. He knows Kurt Busch, one of his point rivals, has been in the garage today.
It's a hectic place down there.
You know, one thing about pitting like this, it's much easier for the drivers and the crews because this is a tough place to pit under yellow when everybody's on pit lane because the pit boxes are so small. So this makes it a little bit easier for everybody coming in and not being so crowded.
So who just got black flag, Bill?
21, Ricky Ride.
For?
Probably not getting their equipment back to the pit wall, I believe.
Okay, here's Robbie Gordon on pit road. Dave.
BP, just as they planned after their last pit stop, he said, I need you in on lap 55. I also need 4 laps of caution before this race is over. Crew Chief Greg Irwin, what does Robbie need? He said the car is perfect. Leave it the way it is. Just give me the fresh rubber and all the fuel. He's off.
And that's a gamble. And I think that's a good gamble. I mean, that's a gamble I'd be willing to take. Because if not, you got to come back in and you're going to lose all that track position just for that little extra gas.
Now, Robbie Gordon is making sure that he doesn't speed down pit road. That he'd have to pass all those cars once again if that were to happen.
Casey Kane's been into some people. It's okay.
Friends, yeah.
Use the nose as long as the bumper's not beat in the rear bumper.
And Mark Martin is able to pass Robbie Gordon in the exchange of pit stops. Tony Stewart, the leader, on pit road.
Tony Stewart has clinched the most laps led bonus for the 6th time in the last 8 races. The Watkins Glen race winner has led the most laps in 10 of the last 12 races. So Allen, he's on a path toward victory lane again.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky territory, though, Bill. You got to make sure you got enough fuel to the finish and for a potential green-white checker, but you can't give up the speed on the track fresh tires gives you to these other guys that have just pitted. So Greg Zipadelli calling Tony Stewart in. They'll make a 4 tires change, send him back out, hoping they've got enough fuel until the checkered flag waves. Matt?
Junior won here to Busch car, not having the day he had hoped for in his Cup entry. Now, Junior was talking about the frustrations behind the wheel as the 32 is also in the fellows. Now, he said the car extremely hot on the inside. They had to pull some tape off of some vent openings to get more air on the inside. Catch cam man cylinder is full of fuel, and he is away.
Saw Kyle Busch run fellows coming off of pit road. Jimmy Johnson scored as the race leader, working lap 57.
Now he's got to pit. All these guys have to pit. The fact that Tony Stewart has been in the pits, they've got to get in there. Marty, coming to you. What are you going to do?
Nothing to the car, BP. Jimmy told Chad Canals, his crew chief, said, you know what? I don't know that I would change anything. The car's a little bit loose, but I'm happy with it. I like it. Jimmy said, quote, life's all good right now. Pulled both tear-offs off the windshield. No chassis changes, as we said. It'll be 4 tires for the 48 team. They've stayed out 1 lap longer than Tony Stewart all day long, but can they beat him on the racetrack?
Looks awfully clean. Those guys made a lot of changes on that car. They made a lot of the right changes.
I'm very careful not to speed exiting pit road.
35 miles per hour, the speed limit on pit road. To these guys, and it literally is, seems like to walk faster than that.
Johnson, let's see where he comes out. In front of him.
Yeah, that was just Stewart right in front of him.
So he'll work his way through the S's, up the backstretch and around to the start-finish line. There's Tony Stewart. There's Jimmy Johnson. So pit stops continuing. 33 to go at Watkins Glen. How will the strategy play out, and can everybody make it to the checkers?
Jeff Gordon's crew finishing their pit stop. The right side tires going on, filling it full of fuel. He darted onto pit road when he thought the caution would be coming out for the 16 car of Greg Biffle. The question will be whether the caution was out or not when he pitted. If the caution was out, he pitted too early. If it wasn't, great move.
No, you're right, Dave. That's a brilliant move. And Robbie Gordon did that a couple years ago.
And there's a reason for the caution flag. Greg Biffle has lost a transmission. The transmission is broken in the 16 car, and he could not coast back to the garage area.
Third in the championship standings, so the second of our top 10 guys to have problems today, Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle. And let's take a ride with Greg Biffle, and this will be a sickening sound.
Hey, you come through turn 1 in second gear. Here's the second, then you grab third right here. And that's ugly. And he was already in gear. You're not shifting there. You're already in third gear. Sound like that gear exploded.
Sure did. Sound like all the teeth left. Okay, the wrecker has gotten behind him, pushing him towards.
Hey, he coasted a long way around this racetrack.
Yep. Now let's watch Jeff Gordon. Watch the caution light on the left.
Up there,
it's already
see
red.
It's red.
The caution's already out.
Yep. That means pit road is closed.
Nice try.
So we'll have to sort out the Gordon situation. Tony Stewart is the race leader, followed by Ryan Newman, Johnny Miller, Jimmy Johnson, and Boris Said. Been a tough day for guys in the top 10 in the standings. We'll see what happens when we come back. Still under caution here at Watkins Glen, 60 laps complete. Scheduled 90 laps here at Watkins Glen. A lot of guys on and off of pit road. Take a look at our Craftsman pit summary. You see Stewart was first when he came in, Johnson was second, and Vickers third. And depending on when you pitted and where you came out, that's where you're at. But basically that's been rotating because of guys stopping on different pit sequences.
Which a couple of these guys in between Stewart, I think, and Boris are going to have to come in, right, Ben? I mean, Johnny Miller.
Yeah, Johnny
Newman
Miller.
have to come in, right?
Newman does. And Newman's got more problems than that, Alan Bestick was just telling us.
He had transmission problems in the 12 car. Second and third gear is not usable.
Here goes Johnny Miller.
Yep. To pit road. Marty?
Greg Biffle sitting in the Nextel Cup garage. And Greg, how long had that problem been developing with the transmission?
It was about the last 5 laps. I think it got something jammed in the shift linkage because I had a hard time shifting third and fourth gear. First and second was fine, but you know, either something got on a dog ring or something that's pretty unusual to hurt third and fourth gear in these transmissions. So obviously got a piece of debris up in the shift linkage or just a malfunction of a part or something, but clean shifts all day. I'm not sure why it broke.
As you can see, some guys in the car, many guys under the car. In all told, there's 14 guys trying to get the third place man in the championship back out on the racetrack.
Spending a lot of points sitting back there. Scott Pruitt is driving that 40 car today for Sterling Marlin. Sterling left here Thursday night to fly home to Tennessee to be with his father. His dad, Cuckoo Marlin, passed away early this morning after a battle with lung cancer. Cuckoo was 73 years old. He brought a lot of energy and a lot of spirit to this sport. He will dearly be missed. 165 races in his career, 42 top 10s. His best was a third 3 times. So our thoughts and our hearts to Sterling, his family, and fans and friends of Cuckoo Marlin. We'll be right back. The field just got the green for the restart. They charge into turn 1. Ryan Newman losing several positions.
Because of his transmission trouble.
Only has first and fourth gear. What was back there?
Somebody was in the dirt for a little while.
The green car, Anthony Lazzaro.
Ooh, it gets really narrow here.
Yes, it does. Michael Walter trying to go by Anthony and also Jeremy Mayfield.
And we got some pretty good cars sitting in the top 7 right now, 6 or 7.
And those...
Oh, and our camera's fixed.
Yeah.
Well, for now, yeah. Starting to have that lean. Track is not banked back there.
NASCAR allowed us to go out there and reposition that camera.
And those caution laps that we just ran might allow Robbie Gordon, all these guys, to make it to the end of the race.
I don't think we're done with caution laps for some reason, but
Jeff Gordon had to restart at the tail end of the field for pitting too soon. When the caution came out, pit road was closed. He tried to charge onto pit road, did not make it, had to restart at the end of the line. What are you looking at?
Boris has got something dragging underneath his car, but I think it's just a rear brake hose.
I think it's a brake hose as well. One of the hoses that carries air to the brakes to cool them off. Looks like one of them has come off the 36 car.
Scott Pruitt working on Rusty Wallace. There goes Robbie Gordon in the 7. Mark Martin in the 6. Racing, wow.
Rusty puts the block on Pruitt. Well, and Rusty, yeah, he knows he can't give anything up if he's going to make the chase.
Boy, he's using every inch of the racetrack, trying to get every ounce of speed out of the car. But Rusty, he's there.
Yeah. Pruitt in the beer battle next to Rusty.
Not over yet.
Rusty on the inside. They come to the start-finish line.
I think Scott will outbreak him down here, though. Let's see what happens. Yep, Scott got him.
Marty.
Yeah, guys, this morning Scott told me I don't know what to expect. The setup in this car was really meant as a lot of dirt on the racetrack for David Stremme to drive it. He said it was a very conservative setup. It was not nearly as aggressive as the setup that he would like to have in the car. But he came on the radio a few laps ago and said, guys, we have a terrific car. Let's make Sterling proud and finish in the top 5 today.
This team definitely racing with a heavy heart. Pruitt giving them a great ride. Behind them, Rusty Wallace. His 49th birthday is today. His last ride at the Glen. You came here 10 years ago. It was a one-off, right?
Yes.
For you? Finished second in this race.
Travis Quapple, smoke out of the back of the car. That's
pretty bad, Shane.
That's always bad news. See, Casey Mears on the inner loop. I guess he's missed the inner loop, had to stop back there. That's exactly what happened. Under NASCAR rules, if you miss that inner loop, you've got to stop, bring the car to a halt, and then take off. Otherwise, the penalty is you've got to come down pit road and do a pass-through.
He is Tony Stewart, and he's like 3 seconds ahead. Alan?
Yeah, Bill, I just responding to what Benny said a couple laps ago about if the caution flag laps helped some of these guys with their fuel mileage. I talked with Greg Zipadelli, Tony Stewart's crew chief, during that last yellow. He said we stayed out long enough so that with only 2 laps of yellow, we'll be good to go not only to the finish, but through a green-white checker. So the race leader's in pretty good shape on his fuel.
And that really is critical, green-white checker. Because who knows, caution flag comes out, this thing goes into overtime. A lot of these guys will be running out of fuel.
If the race reaches its scheduled conclusion under caution, NASCAR will make one attempt at a green-white checkered finish, and that's a lot of track here. 5 miles worth.
Boris Ed moves into second spot.
Our Harley-Davidson lap leaders. We talked about Stewart leading here the most laps again today, 6 of the last 8 races. I want to point out that Ryan Newman, who restarted second, is now all the way back in 22nd, fighting that transmission problem. .24 to go. We will attempt to go through the field when we come back, and that man driving that 20 Home Depot Chevy will start it all out. Stewart leads at the Glen.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Watkins Glen is brought to you by Chevy, the winningest name in racing, and American Revolution. By Burger King, bob your head with new BK chicken fries. Have it your way with Burger King. By State Farm, great service, great rates. That's why 40 million drivers trust State Farm. And by Singular, raising the bar.
That's the 43 of Jeff Green. Just did a little long job coming out of 1 and heading for 2, but he's okay. Up front, Tony Stewart is fast, but Boris Said is on the move running second.
Last lap, 36 car, Boris said, ran his personal best lap of the race.
Busch Series raced here yesterday. Ryan Newman was the winner. Robbie Gordon second. Brian Vickers, Tony Stewart, and championship leader Martin Truex Jr. finished fifth. Take a look at the unofficial championship standings. In the Busch Series, Truex by 122 over Clint Boyer. Kenny Wallace back in fifth. Update some of these guys. Boris said started 39th. He's second behind Stewart. Robbie Gordon started 37th. He's third. And Scott Pruitt had to drop to the rear of the field, basically started 43rd, and he is now 7th. They're all chasing Tony Stewart, the winner here a year ago, the winner last week at the Brickyard in the Allstate 400. And man, it was tough to pull the curtain on that party.
Oh, I didn't know we ended it. I'm still going. I haven't stopped smiling yet. It's you know, it's definitely been an awesome week, and when you can go out and see a bunch of your friends from the sprint car world, whether it was with the wing cars or non-wing cars, and then come here this weekend and have your peers and mentors congratulate you. That's the icing on top of the cake. Just knowing that everybody was as excited for me as I was about our day. So just to know that you got that many friends that care enough about you to congratulate you like that, that's meant a lot to me.
I talked to Tony yesterday, and he told me he hopes everybody at some point in their life can experience the same joy, even if it's just for one day, that he had last Sunday at Indianapolis. Just an amazing feeling, a tremendous accomplishment.
I've noticed Stewart's driving his car a little bit harder right now. I watched him early in the race, and it's smooth, not making, you know, car just in a good position going through the inner loop, not sideways or anything. But it looks like he's driving his car a little bit harder because he's got somebody in the mirror for the first time today.
Boris said on the move. Let's take you through the field. Stewart leads. Here's Alan.
Well, Tony Stewart has led most all of this race. Bill been out in front, solidly in command. He really hasn't said a lot on the radio all day. I asked crew chief Greg Zipadelli about it, and he smiled and said he hasn't had to. Marty?
Alan talked to Boris said this morning. He said, you know what? All I want is a shot. I want to be in the top 5 with 20 laps to go. Guess what? 20 laps to go. Boris said is in second. They are close on fuel. Frank Stoddard says they should make it. Those are brake hoses dragging, no problem. Car a little bit loose. Boris trying to track down the 20. Dave?
The temperature has dropped about 10 degrees down here on pit road. That means there's a storm in the area. They told Robbie Gordon. Here's what he said.
Real hazy over there behind that front stretch, Greg. Winds blowing clouds from that direction, too. Just keep an eye on it. I'm going to do about it, Brandon. I'm just going to go as hard as I can go. Let's go. Let's go hard.
And right after that, he came back on lap 67, maybe switched his place a little bit. He said, I'm going to save my stuff for a little while. We may not have seen all out of the 7 car that he's got today.
Dave, Jimmy Johnson's career best road course finish is 4th here in 2003. Right now, Jimmy Johnson running 4th. He told Chad earlier the car is excellent. It starts a little bit loose, but comes to him later in the run. Look for the 48 to get better. Mark Martin radioed to his crew chief, Pat Tryson, a moment ago. Are we good on fuel? Pat said yes. Mark said, can I go for it? Pat said yes. Mark said, good. Behind him, Scott Pruitt, the road course racer, trying to catch him, but there's caution on the racetrack with Michael Waltrip.
Wow, that's a strange place to crash, too. It's right there in the right before the inner loop. I wonder if he got turned back there.
Well, you're hustling right there, aren't you?
Yeah, you're.
Yeah, I'm fine.
But Michael is fine. But he knows that he has a lot of damage to the Napa Chevrolet, and he's taking everything off.
Well, let's see. They're in a pack here. And yep, he gets turned by Casey Kane.
That is a wild ride.
Wow, that's a hit. Take a ride with Michael as this happens.
You want to go road course racing at the Glen?
All these guys were bunched up, but it just doesn't take much. There he goes on to the back straightaway, just minding his own business, and not much you can do when somebody picks up the rear wheels off your race car.
Let me know if you're okay, Mike.
Here we go. This is a real speed. And you can just see how fast these cars aren't moving.
Oh, I'm glad he's okay. You don't really comprehend how fast you are on these road courses. That's a hard hit for Michael Waltrip. under caution at the Glen. Less than 20 to go. The finish is going to be something. Here's our Team Tylenol safety fact. The inner loop here at the Glen was added in 1992 to help slow the cars before they made that right-hander into the downhill sweeper turn.
You know, now they start stopping in here, but before that, they came all the way down here and probably had another 15 miles per hour at least, and had some terrible crashes going into that corner, and that's when they install this inner loop.
You think you're pumping the brakes now?
Yeah.
We were really pumping the brakes then.
And of course, some guys aren't using the road, the pavement there through the inner loop, and our camera has an inverted view.
Again.
Yes. Let's check on a race strategy down on pit road, AB.
Well, this is Greg Zipadelli. Greg, I don't think I've seen even a minute of excitement in this pit all day. Everything seems like it's going according to clockwork. Good to plan?
Yeah, we've Home Depot Chevrolet's been good. Tony's been awesome. We probably didn't mind these cautions. We had ourselves a little bit of a cushion there, just kind of riding as hard as we can. You don't know how hard Boris is going. You got Robbie Gordon behind there. You know he's a good road racer. Not feel a fuel raindrop, so either maybe we'll just get a big dumping on us and it'll all be over, and we can all smile, or we're gonna have to hang in there another 16 laps and see what it'll bring us.
All right, good luck in these final 16. Marty.
Alan, Frank Stoddard is the crew chief for Boris Said, and all he said this morning was he wanted a shot. You've got him in position. Can he pass the 20?
Well, it's hard to say. The 20's been awful strong all day. We've had to use a lot of Centrex car up getting to the front. You know, to come from 41st to the front is just a testament to these guys. Great pit stops, pretty good strategy, and a great little driver in the car. So this is what we wanted, you know, and I mean, the best road course driver probably in NASCAR right now is Tony Stewart, and you know, we'll find out who's going to win it.
He said, I don't know if I have enough to pass the 20, but we're about to find out. Dave?
Greg Irwin makes the calls for Robbie Gordon. He's got to make the call now. He said he'd been conserving a little bit. Can he get around the 36 and 20?
We're going to look and see. We got about 18 or so laps to go. Robbie's been doing a terrific job today in his Jim Beam Chevy, and we had to play it a little conservative on the first stop there on fuel. We really didn't know what we had, but our friends at Menard Engines there have really picked up their program, obviously on fuel mileage and reliability, and it's starting to pay off. We just hope everything holds together and we can make it to the end.
Made a big carburetor movement that has made this car better this weekend. Matt?
Dave, right before the caution, Ryan Pemberton told Joe Nemechek, you're good to go on fuel, go all out. That 12-second deficit you were back from Stewart's gone now. Does your man have enough car to get up there and fight with him?
Well, I mean, I don't know if anybody's been able to catch Stewart all day. You know, I think we've got a great car. We've got the ability to run up there with him. Our teammate, Boris Said, he's up on the wheel. I think he probably give him a good run for it. But man, it's been a great weekend. We unloaded real fast. Joe's done a great job, and it's been a lot of fun. We like coming here road racing, especially when you got a guy like Joe and Boris Said wheeling the cars. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. 3 times Joe Nemechek has finished second here in NASCAR competition, Busch and trucks. Maybe he'll get another second today, or even better than that, his first road course win here.
Thanks,
Bill?
Matt. Ron Fellows will be the lucky dog. He'll come around. Tony Stewart continues to lead under caution. Take a look at the Napa field summary here at the Glen. 7 leaders, 9 lead changes, 6 cautions. Are we done with those? That's the big question.
No.
Jeff Burton is out of the race. Travis Kvapil and P.J. Jones are off the track. Greg Biffle has returned to the race.
Well, the final test for the all-new Ford Fusion in NASCAR was a recent wind tunnel test. Now the Fusion is ready for the Ford teams to start building in 2006. Greg Speck with Ford says that getting the cars early is a tremendous help.
By getting the car approved early on, it gives the race teams as much time as possible to learn how to make the Fusion work on the racetrack, and it'll give them the greatest possibility to come out of the chute at the beginning of the season with a really good race car and hopefully win the first race of the season.
Field's coming to get the green.
We're about to see how deep you can or cannot drive a car into turn 1 at Watkins Glen. Because I'll guarantee you, Boris Said and Robbie Gordon are going to be driving as hard as they can, as far as they can in turn 1, because this is their best opportunity right now. On a restart, going into turn 1 to pass.
And they are road racing experts, 2nd and 3rd place car. They do this for a living.
And they're here for one reason today.
To win, and win only. Tony Stewart has the championship in mind, although he does want to win badly.
Be 15 to go when they cross the line.
Why were they so far back?
Forrest got a terrible start, and Robbie Gordon's going to get by, it looks like.
You know, those guys were laying back, and it burned them because Stewart just buried them.
Oh, almost some contact between those two cars.
I believe there was some contact there. Pruitt gets around Mark Martin.
There might be some more. Michael Waltrip treated and released from the infield care center.
Ryan Vickers and like Jeremy Mayfield side by side. Casey Kane at 9 car, and Jeremy's teammate right behind him. Here comes Junior. The 8 car driving in there.
See, you can go through there side by side, Bill.
Yeah, you can. Junior did it.
He even came out.
And that's the key. It's a good move by Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 8 car.
We're going to find out how good Robbie's car is right now, aren't we? Stewart leads. Robbie Gordon chasing in the 7 along with Boris Said in the 36. There's Tony. There's Robbie. Here comes Boris. Very disappointing on the restart for those two.
I guess I know they were laying back trying to get a run on Stewart, but it worked against them. Tony got a great restart, and those guys didn't even have a shot at outbreaking them.
Joe Nemechek looking to make a move down the front stretch into 1.
Wow, there's a block.
Yep.
Got to be Rusty.
Yes. That car gets very wide. We watch the race. Check in with Marty.
Michael Waltrip out of the infield care center, and as you said, Bill, that was a big hit on the driver's side. You okay? And what happened?
I'm fine. I guess the boy in the 9 didn't give me 1 inch. I look forward to the day that he needs an inch. That's 4 times I've gotten wrecked going down the straightaway this year. 4 blown engines and 2 blown engines and 4 flat tires, and that's out of 22 races, Matt. Tells you, Marty. That tells you how good of a team I got. I got the best crew ever, and I just keep having problems. Very sorry about that.
They had just gotten them in the position they wanted to be, but they're going to be out of it early today.
All right, now then, Robbie Gordon.
Whoa, look at these guys out in the dirt.
Jamie wow. He was definitely doing some dirt tracking back there.
You know, those guys coming out of the medical center, sometimes they really don't want to talk to you, but most of them are really good about it. Last week at the Brickyard, Ricky Rudd came out of the care center and got away before we got him. He reported that he declined our invitation for an interview. That wasn't the case. Ricky was just able to get away and then made time for us later. So we thank him for that, and we thank Michael Waltrip for talking with us.
Scott Pruitt, the 40 car, gets by Jimmy Johnson. Goes up to the 4th position.
Let's pay off our singular wireless pole.
Pretty even.
Yeah. Murray and Bush with their current teams. Did you vote in that, BP?
No, I didn't vote.
Okay.
Because I don't have a clue.
We knew that. Oh, you meant on that.
on that, yeah. Well, somebody's been there. I guess that was McMurray that left all that dirt back there. Last lap, Tony Stewart ran his fastest lap of the day.
And so did Robbie Gordon.
That's right.
You see the championship standings as of right now. Sadler getting back into the top 10 after 5 disappointing weeks. But a lot of guys have had trouble today. Dale Jarrett has fallen out of the top 10. Biffle's had problems. Bush has had problems. Jeff Gordon is running back in 20th right now after a tire issue here.
Elliott Sadler sitting there right there in 12th spot, 38 car. He needs a little bit of turnaround.
Oh, he sure does, Wally.
He's got a good run going here. Those guys have had some great runs and just bad luck.
There's our Wendy's race menu. We're at Michigan next week, and then Bristol. Back-to-back races on TNT. The night race at Bristol, less than 2 weeks away. Then on to California, and then the final race before the cutoff in the chase for the Nextel Cup at Richmond. We're going to take our last green flag commercial break. If anything happens, we will break in. Tony Stewart leads, closing in on 11 to go here at the Glen. back here at Watkins Glen. Kyle Busch with an experience trying to get through turn 1. But he recovers, is okay, rejoins the race. Caution flag does not come out. Alan?
You guys have heard the term wheel hop before, right?
Yes.
Kyle has been fooling around and, I should say, be frustratingly dealing with wheel hop.
And then you see what happens when you get the wheel hop. That's when the rear wheels jump up and down.
Got a feeling like driving across a railroad track.
Exactly.
Right?
And the only way you can get it to go away is just let off the brakes.
Well, there is another way.
Hit something.
No, you hit the gas.
Hit the gas. But then you're going way too fast.
But you got to tell your head to do that when you're trying to slow down. Go ahead and hit the gas while you're wrecking.
Good luck. Stewart leads. Robbie Gordon second. Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace. Let's see. Borisset just ran his fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, about 0.3 of a second faster than the leader that lap.
But unfortunately, he's got 3 seconds to make up and just 9 laps to do it.
Rusty's closing in on Mark here, trying to set him up.
Battle for the 6th position.
Joe Nemechek right behind those two in the 01 car.
Check out speeds at the line next time by.
Righty.
Well,
I think, let's see.
I'm going to blame it on the camera in the interlude.
It looks like Robbie's closing in a little bit on Stewart, but not enough.
Well, he was fastest last lap by a 1/10 is all.
That restart was their opportunity.
Yes, it sure was. I tell you what, Robbie Gordon has been, this has been a great run for him. This team needed a great run, and today it's going to do wonders for this team the rest of the year and next year and on into the future.
Wanted to get our little Sony audio set so you could hear the last few laps as well as you can see them.
He did good.
Because you can feel the race like never before in 360 degrees of full surround sound. Get ready to hear the big picture, because the only way to experience the full impact of HD is with NBC Sports and Sony HD. He looks good in HD today, doesn't he, that 20 car?
He's looked good for the last couple of months, really. He stubbed his toe at Pocono a little bit. Didn't win.
Could have won at Chicagoland.
Could have won at Chicago.
He leads, less than 7 to go. Let's see if we can sneak through the top 10 in the field. Alan?
Well, when you talk to Tony Stewart about this run that he's been on, he's won 4 of the last 6, could make it 5 of the last 7. He says, I'm just driving the race car. You have to talk to Greg Zipadelli and the crew. You ask Greg about it, he said, we went back to our old way of testing. We had tried some new things, went back to a previous testing ritual we had before the New Hampshire race. I guess it's working out pretty well for them. Dave?
This morning I asked crew chief Greg Irwin if he was impressed with Robbie Gordon's run from 22nd to 2nd yesterday in the Busch Series race on their final run. He said extremely. In fact, we like the setup on that car so much we built shocks and put springs on this car that were exactly the same. Braking package the same as well. One of the reasons the 7 is running so well. Marty?
Dave, this is shaping up to be a career best day for Borisset. He's running in the 3rd position. His career best before this day, 6:12 twice. He is not very happy with Tony Stewart and the way he restarted under the last green flag. Felt like Tony brake checked him in the last corner. That's why they were so far back. Scott Pruitt doing a fine job on the 40 car, subbing for Sterling Marlin, said this is going to get interesting if I can catch Boris. They just radioed to him, you're so far back, save fuel for the green-white checkered. It has been a terrific day for Jimmy Johnson, running in the 5th position. Many people around him in the championship standings have had trouble today. Jimmy's had a loose car for most of the afternoon. Now they're just spinning on the racetrack.
Wow, there's a lot of guys spinning down there. There's Newman, Kenny Schrader.
Turn 1.
Lazaro on the 37 car. And I saw the 37 start, yes. All cars able to move away.
We remain under green, and that would have been a caution a year ago because somebody probably would have been in the sand pit down there. Would have been like Benny on the 17th hole, stuck in the sand. Looking for Mark Martin. Let's pick up where we left off, Marty.
Bill, you need to correct yourself. Usually I'm the one stuck in the sand. Remember, I'm the one who's always in the sand trap. Martin has had a very fine day. He's kept it in the fairway all afternoon long. He's had 17 starts here at Watkins Glen, and only twice has he not finished in the top 10. It's going to be another top 10 day for Mark. Alan?
I have the feeling Rusty Wallace's comments after this day is done not only will revolve around this being his birthday, but this being a good points day. A lot of the drivers that he's racing for positions in the middle of the top 10 in the Nextel Cup standings have had troubles today. Rusty may be going to gain a little extra room for comfort over these final few races to Richmond. Matt?
The guy chasing Rusty Wallace down right there in the Army car, Joe Nemechek. Now 3 times he has finished 8th here at Watkins Glen. Ryan Pemberton told him about 5 laps to go. Go all out, do all you can. He's trying to hunker down and chase down that 2, Alan.
Well, another top 10 finish on the way for Brian Vickers, running 9th right now. Vickers finishing 3rd at Indianapolis a week ago. His crew chief, Lance McGrew, says their season began to come together around Memorial Day weekend, and they're really on a roll. It's only a matter of time before they win. Marty?
Alan finishing out the top 10 is Jeremy Mayfield as Joe Nemechek tries to go through the grass. Mayfield having a terrific day. He's had brake problems, thought he had too much front brake, dialed it all the rear, didn't make it any better. He's had water heating problems up to 240 at one point, but somehow they've managed to stay in the top 10. Look at this gaggle, guys, as Jeremy gets passed by a few cars.
They're racing for the win right there.
Hey, they're racing for their life.
Yep.
Junior's able to get by. He got by the 19 car, didn't he? Yes, he did. They want Nemechek in that 0-1 almost got in the guardrail off of turn 7 coming down the start-finish line.
A little bit further behind these guys, Jeff Gordon, who restarted 24th on lap 76, has moved his way up to 17th. Desperately trying to get some more points here at the Glen.
That is impressive to get up to the 17th spot for Jeff Gordon. Not been a good day for a car that is very fast. There he comes. DuPont Chevy.
There's Gordon in the 24 car. Dave Burns.
And after they came on pit road for that unscheduled stop for that flat left front tire, Robbie Loomis, his crew chief, had to calm the driver down just a little bit. He asked him to keep his emotions in check because they knew what they were left with. About 30 laps remaining in the race and only cars to pass on the track. A very difficult place to pass and poor track position. Jeff has been working his way back up, restarted outside the top 20, and BP is now up to 16th.
Very impressive, Dave.
Bobby Labonte making a stop here late in the race on pit road. Tony Stewart chased by Robbie Gordon and Boris said it's going to be a hard man to catch. 2 to go this time by.
Well, his 20 car just looks so good. It looks like he's driving around the car, around the racetrack with, oh, caution flag, caution. We could see green, white checker. We could see going into overtime.
Wow.
What will that do to fuel mileage these guys?
And here we have people in the sand trap.
And that one of them is Kurt Busch.
Yep. And the 50 car, Jorge Getters.
Right. You're not getting out of there without some help.
That's up in turns 6 and 7.
Now that looks like Snyder.
Well, when they push, Bill, when they pushed Bobby Labonte right by me, a huge puddle of oil as he went by. Clearly an engine failure for him, but perhaps some oil on the racetrack. That's what made these guys wreck.
Wow.
Watch at the top of your screen.
No, I think that was just.
No, that was Ron Fellows making contact, and that's not in turn 6 and 7. That's up in the interloop. And Busch just drove straight in.
I think he was trying to avoid the other cars sliding across him. That's about the only thing he could do.
On board with Biffle.
All right, come on through. You got 3.
That guy's in deep.
Now then, these crew chiefs, nightmare.
Yes.
Overtime.
Yeah. Now anybody that was close on fuel is in trouble.
Sweating. If the race reaches its scheduled conclusion under the yellow flag, NASCAR will make one attempt at a green-white checkered finish. The field will come by and get the green. The next time by, they will get the white flag signaling the last lap. Then they will get the checkered flag. If the caution comes out during that green-white period, the race will be over.
Now, these caution flag laps that we've had in this last session since these cars pitted, obviously that will help their fuel situation.
But here's the other thing. Tony Stewart led by over 3 seconds. Last time by under green.
And now the lead is 0.3 of a second.
Right. It was about 3 seconds.
This caution flag, the one guy that I see that might really hurt is Scott Pruitt. Snyder, do they have enough fuel for a green-white check in that 40 car?
And yeah, BP under green. Now, we were talking about him through the field. They told him, actually slow down, save some fuel. And Tony Glover came on the radio when the caution came out and said, this is exactly plays to our favor, because we were expecting this, hoping for this, and now we definitely can make it all the way.
Okay.
Well, the big moment's going to be when they all go into turn 1.
Yeah, as long as Robbie and Boris are on the back of Tony Stewart's bumper for the restart. Stewart smoked him on the last restart. And Tony's got the fastest car. I mean, or he has all day. So he's going to be really difficult to pass. Is there something wrong with the 20, Matt?
Well, Wally, a lot of conversation on the 20 radio now. Up on top of the pit box, Zipadelli is talking to Jason Shapiro, Scott Deal, and a number of people on the Home Depot team. Tony said on the radio that the alternator apparently has gone south. He's turned all the fans off, and he's talking about switching batteries.
Wow. Greg Zipadelli is not a happy individual.
No. Well, Stewart stays out. We'll watch this field under caution. We come back to Watkins Glen, a green-white checkered finish. Hang on tight. We're under caution at Watkins Glen. We are working lap 90. That's the scheduled final lap of this race, but the field will go green-white checkered. They will get the green next time by. Tony Stewart is the race leader. An update from Matt Yoakum.
And here on top of the pit box, Greg Zipadelli getting ready to call the restart. A lot of conversation, Zippy, back and forth between yourself and Tony. Where does everything stand now?
Well, it looks like we've had an alternator quit the last 8 to 10 laps that we've run here. We have no brake fans or anything. He's had them off. Their lap time's been fluctuating a little bit. We could see our brakes getting hot, but we've had some alternator problems. The guys have been working hard and trying to get it fixed. We have just switched the second battery, turned the air condition, and everything else off except for the brake fans. We'll probably need them here, these green-white checkered. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what old smoke can do.
Bill, it's shaping up to be a spectacular finish.
It is, Matt.
If he has a brand new battery, he's fine for 2 laps.
Yeah,
even with no alternator.
Take a look at the last restart. Tony Stewart in the orange car in front of Boris Said.
Yeah, now Boris said that Tony had brake checked him. He didn't brake check him. He just smoked those guys on the restart. That's all there was.
On board with Boris, coming to get the green last time.
He pulls up right behind Tony Stewart. Sounds like he might have spun the tires a little bit or something.
Yeah, he didn't get brake check.
It didn't. The car did not take off.
One attempt to get a green-white checkered finish. Dave Burns.
The 7-car of Robbie Gordon has been on the radio to his crew chief. He said, wow, this is going to get interesting. Crew chief radioed back. This is where you get to make the corporate decision. He meant what you do with the company car going into turn 1. Marty?
Dave Borishead wanted to make sure that they were good on fuel. They are good on fuel. He was concerned about the last restart as well. He did talk about it. Felt it was too slow. Hopes this one is quicker by Tony Stewart.
All right, here we go.
Got to go in deep.
Go, go, go.
There again, Stewart gets a great restart, and they're not even close enough to try to outbrake him.
Said looking to the inside of Robbie, will not get there. Give a call to Jimmy Johnson in that 48. He's had a solid day. Good performance.
Man, oh man, Tony Stewart just drove away on the restart, and these guys right behind, knowing he was going to do that. So I got to give Tony Stewart credit as much as blame as anything.
Yeah, I mean, both those last restarts have been, he got him. He fooled him.
That's right. He just drove away from him.
Through the inner loop. Then the carousel. If the caution comes out, the race is over. Stewart's okay with that battery?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Fresh battery should last for a couple of laps.
Especially with everything on.
Out of turn 7 to the pit stretch. White flag, last lap at the Glen. Dave Burns.
Robbie Gordon radioed his crew, no way we're going to make it. We're done. I don't know if he meant he's out of fuel, if there's no way he can catch the 20. And no, he's not catching the 20.
That's probably what he's talking about. They're just not going to catch the 20 because the car certainly seems to be under power.
Well, this 20 team is in top championship form right now. Off the win at Indianapolis a week ago. Headed for victory lane here at Watkins Glen. To Michigan next week and then Bristol.
I mean, in 2 laps, he has pulled out to a 2.5 lead on really good drivers and race cars.
Won at Sonoma earlier this year. Tony Stewart, the new road course king in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Sweeps off of 7, makes the right-hander. He can see the checkered flag now. Tony Stewart goes back-to-back and wins at the Glen.
Talk about dominating.
His 3rd win at Watkins Glen all in the last 4 races. His 3rd straight road course win and the 5th driver of all time to do that.
Boris said, congratulating Tony Stewart.
It's his 5th win in the last 7 races and 8th straight finish in the top 7. Well, Matt, sounds like time for another party.
Sure does, Bill. Zippy, dominating win last week, special win, but this has to be special knowing what a dominant car this team put together for Tony.
Oh, man, I'll tell you, I don't know what to say. I'm just proud of all these guys, proud of Tony. Home Depot Chevrolet was awesome this weekend. We came up here, we had a great test. We've had an awesome couple of months. It's kind of
last 10 weeks.
It's kind of like a fantasy. I hope it lasts another. I think I got 14 more weeks of it. So I keep praying. The good Lord, He's been shining on us, and everybody's been working hard. Smoke has been just fired up, man. I mean, I haven't seen this guy this focused, and it's fun to be around in the 7 years. I can't say enough about him and all these guys. So just. I don't know what to say.
This team is hitting its stride at the right time as the chase continues to approach.
Yeah, like I said, we got another long stretch, so we need to be able to maintain it, keep our you know, keep our chins up and don't get complacent because things are going so easy. We need to work even harder right now, I think, so that we don't fall behind, because I know everybody else is gunning for us.
They scored their 5th career NASCAR Nextel Cup road course win, 2 off the all-time record, Bill.
Chevrolet congratulates Tony Stewart in the 20 Monte Carlo on today's win. The defending manufacturer's champion takes win number 568 overall. Chevy, the revolution races on, and so does Tony Stewart. And you got 2.45 miles of track around here and a whole lot of fence, some of it brand new.
I don't think he'd be climbing that new IndyCar fence over there. It's about 100 feet high.
But you know the fans are waiting. This is the